Okay, Hilchas tzitzis v'atifoso. Okay, we'll go back to the Mechaber. Yisati b'tzitzis vorech mu'umod. One should wrap himself in tzitzis. Right, atifa. Atifa doesn't mean the word we put on talis koton. It means you should wrap yourself. We'll see what wrapping is. And then you say the bracha mu'umad in a standing position, not sitting. Of course, if a person is infirm, he can't stand, you say the bracha in sitting. You probably even say the Shemon Esrei sitting. Right? If you're not able to stand, you're in a situation, you're in a car, and this man is going to pass. So you say in your seat, sitting. You don't have to. You even could say the Shemon Esrei even walking, if you have no choice. While you're walking, you're not even stationary. Here we're talking about what the optimum posture should be. You should be in a standing position. We'll speak. Mishna Berura speaks about it. Yeah, whether it's a birchas hamitzvos or it's a birchas shvach bodo, birchas hanenin. Each one determines whether you have to stand or you can even sit. Mishna Berura yisat tzitzis miyarach until shadayim. Immediately after you wash, that you're able to say the bracha. Yisate kadesh lo yelech arba mitzvot tzitzis. You should put on your tzitzis immediately. The moment you get up, you should put on your tzitzis. Okay. You know, we'll see this halacha that if a person has an urge to do his bodily function or urinate, you should not say bracha in that moment. First, do what you have to do, and afterwards you say. So I'm saying, person gets up, washes his neck, let's say he has the water by his bed, so your hands are clean. You put on the tzitzis, but very often you wake up in the morning, first thing you have to do is you have an urge to urinate, right? So it's be the wrong thing to delay, say the bracha, because in the state of your being at that moment, you have a need to go. You have to delay it. Therefore, there's no question. You go, do what you have to do, wash hands, put your tzitzis on afterwards. Mu'umad. Now, the bracha should be said in a standing position. Ratzaloma hatifa va'brocha shteim b'amida. The hatifa should be in a standing position, and the bracha should be hatifa mishum dechsiv lochem. V'alfing zereshova mi'omer dechsiv gabkin lochem. 1 second. It says lochem. And it says by omer. Right? When we say the bracha, sphere sa omer, we stand. So first we're connecting tzitzis to omer. So what does lochem have to do with standing? U'b'omer ksiv be'hochel chemesh ba'komo. Ba'komo. Komo means when the wheat is ba'komo, is already grown. That's when you cut it with the sickle. Okay? Mihochel chermesh. Chemesh is referring to the sickle. When you begin cutting, the sickle is cutting the komo. Komo means the standing grain, the standing. Standing. Komo means from kom, being when it was grown, so it's like it's standing. V'dashin bakoma. So the interpretation bakoma. It's again, it's a plain. It's rabbinical. There's all rabbinical. It's rabbinical. Koma is koma. V'abrocha bishum dechsi. Now he says, what about the brocha? So the atifa should be in a standing position. The mitzvah tzitzis is similar to the omer. What about the brocha? Well, the brocha is separate. Mishum dechol birchas hamitzvos tzorich lios b'amida. A birchas hamitzvos is right. The bracha we say before we do the mitzvahs is class with birchas hamitzvos. You should say it in the standing position. Any tzitzis you put on. Well, seeming it's not talis godel. No. The Mechaber, you say he's lisati if you've on, we'll see. First lahaloch, we rule that if a person says lisati on talis koton, it's a valid bracha. It's preferable al mitzvah tzitzis. We'll see. We'll discuss. Maybe even by talis koton you need atifa. Maybe you also need atifa. Well, if you wear an 18 by 18, it's difficult to do atifa. But if you wear a very large talis koton, you could do atifa. Now Shiva wore a talis koton. The beged went down to his ankles, and he had it all like rolled up, and he wore it in his waistband. But if he would let it unroll, it went down to his ankles. So you could do atif on such a talis koton. It's not a problem. Okay. How's it going to be busy all afternoon looking on the computer? Looking where do you buy such a thing? Okay. If a person is the bracha, this is the optimum, this is preferable. You should stand when you say the bracha. What happens if you say the bracha is b'di'evet sitting? It's valid. The b'di'evet yotze b'shtein b'chol gavni. Even if you wrapped yourself when you're sitting, you said the bracha when you're sitting, it's valid. V'eskim rov achronim dechat chitzot lius habrocha kodem atifa. Right, you have to every bracha is always over lasiyosa. That's what we do. We hold the talis over, and then we say the bracha, then we wrap ourselves. Dainu b'shoshu ochso biyodo v'rotz l'satifa, when he's holding in his hand and he wants to wrap himself. So over lasiyosa mamash. It's literally immediately before you do the mitzvah. We say the bracha. Lo yadim b'shosh adayin atas b'kupelis. Okay, this is also important. We people. He says it later by tefillin. Do overdo. That's too early. People they'll take out the tefillin. Let's say shel rosh, and they're holding in the hand, and they'll say the bracha. They'll put it on their heads. So it's not the right way to do it. It's because it's too much a delay till you do the mitzvah. What is kshir ala rosh? That's fastening it, securing on the head. So when you're supposed to put it on your head, and it's not exactly in place, and it's not fastened, it's not tight on your head, you say the bracha, then you push it in place, and you center it. That's the way you're supposed to do it. But people, you ever see people, they're in a rush, they're holding it in their hands, and they're about to put it, they're already saying the bracha. That's like, as you're taking it out of the bag, it hasn't been unfolded yet. They're already saying the bracha. Let's say they hold the hand. The satif, then they undo it, and then they wrap. That's over the over. That's too prior. It has to be immediately before they're doing it a mitzvah.
Right.
I was at a wedding. What was it? Last week. This person was a Rosh Yeshiva one time. He's no longer Rosh Yeshiva. Maybe he doesn't have Yeshiva any longer. And his students around him, and it was the Kabbalah's Panim, and he said a shackle. It shows how little people know, although he was called the Rosh Yeshiva. And takes a glass of water at the Kabbalah's Panim, and he says a bracha kavona, and when he's about to complete the bracha, he takes hold of the glass. It's not the right way. You're supposed to hold whatever you're going to eat or drink. It's supposed to be in your hand already. But he only took when he said shakol. That's what he took hold of the glass. When he said Hashem Elokeinu melech olam, he wasn't holding the glass. The glass was on the table. It's not the right way. It's like my son was sitting. He saw it. And I said, it's a poor example of what proper haloch is. I said, should I say something? I said, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to accomplish anything by it. He'll take it the wrong way. Here he feels, empowered because he has all the students around him. I would embarrass him, but say it privately. Let it go already.
So the mitzvah is to fasten it and make sure it's straight. It's
that's kshartem.
Putting it on your
Other words, kshira. You have kshir ala yad, kshir ala rosh. Kshir ala yad means tightening it, right? When let's say it's on your arm, and it's really loose. It's hanging. You don't say the bracha then. You place it and you fasten it. It's not fastened yet. Kshiras mean you have to wrap it once to secure it. And if you just pull it tight, you haven't fastened it. Because the moment you let go, it loosens, right? So when you say the laniach, you pull it tight, you say the bracha, and then you wrap it around. Because the wrapping, now you're fastening it. So it's immediate before you fasten on your arm. That's the correct way to do it. Shel rosh, it's on your head. What's kshir ala rosh, right? It's securing it. That's the reason why if a person has too much hair on his head, it's not possible to. It's always loose. It's always moving around. How do you fasten it? You push it down. It's basically the same as you put it on. It's just sitting on top of your hair. And that's what my chatzitza. It's not a chatzitza. It's not because the hair is part of the body,
It's not fastened.
right? But it's not fastened. You haven't fastened on your head. It's a problem. You ever took a look at the picture of the Rogachover going? The Rogachover, he never took a haircut.
That's what I'm saying.
So how did he wear tefillin? If you ever looked at him,
Never had a haircut.
he held his bittul Torah. He couldn't afford the time. He had payas coming out the side of his head, literally, like you can't imagine. But anywhere else on his head where the tefillin fit, he had no hair. His hair fell out. Except this is the only where the kesher in the back went, no hair. Shem worked it out for him. That he didn't have to waste time, Not he saved on the barber, but that wasn't it. No, but you still have hair on the sides, in the back. Okay. So again, so when you take the talus out of the bag, or you have the talus in your hand, but it hasn't unfolded yet, one doesn't say the bracha. And even if you unfold it, but it's not behind you, right? It has to be literally immediately before you're going to wrap yourself. Doing it earlier than that, that's over the over. It's prior to prior. It has to be over, Lassi. It has to be immediately before you do the mitzvah. It's based on the pasuk. Pasuk, the more Pesachim brings a pasuk.
Some people just go like this, and you see people who wrap and throw it over the shoulder.
You ever see people?
There's different ways.
You want to? Other Syrians, they go and they give it a kiss, and then they go like this. I mean, what do they know? It's like the person David says, they wet the tips of their fingers because they saw their great-grandfather, a picture of great-grandfather in Aleppo. That's the way he put on his talus, right? That's the basis for his knowledge in halacha.
That would be okay.
And it's a little prayer shawl.
Can't question the soil.
No, I'm not. I'm just using that because I know that's where this person that was the source of his chinuch. It means to wrap. It means to wrap.
Right, so
No, so we'll see. It's katifas yishmaelim. You ever see Arabs? We learned something from the Arabs. With the Arab, when he wears his kafir, when he rides on his camel, he puts on his cloak and he throws it over his shoulder. He throws over his left shoulder. And that's why when you put on your tzitzis, you take all the tzitzis and you throw over your left shoulder on the left side. You don't have, then some people go both sides, go back and forth. You don't have to throw it over your right shoulder. Right?
Why?
Okay, then there's a question, Rabbi Yosef, and Sfardim do it different than Ashkenazim. For the Chofetz Chaim, he says when you do the atifa, you're supposed to pull the talus down to cover your eyes to your mouth, and then you throw it over your left shoulder. Sfardim do it differently. It's literally, it's like a kafir. The eyes are exposed, and they wrap it, they cover the mouths. So the forehead is covered, right? And the mouth is covered. And that's exactly the way the Arab, it's katifas yishmael, that's the way they put on they wrap themselves. When they wear their garment, when they go out.
Why do we use them as a muscle? Why are we using them as a muscle of Hatifa?
Because in the time of the Gemara, that's the way people, they wore, what was a garment?
That's how they wrap.
It was a large piece of cloth, and they would wrap themselves. That was a garment in those days. Maybe it was the outer garment. They wore undergarments, but the outer garment was a large piece of cloth which they would wrap themselves. So it was a four-cornered garment. You had to put tzitzis on it. So it comes out, well, let's say Birchas HaTorah. Birchas Torah is Birchas HaMitzvos. So when you say Birchas Torah in the morning, you should say it standing, not sitting. But let's say Birchas HaShachar. Right? Most people, they say Birchas HaShachar, they say it standing. Right? All the Baruch Shalom Sani Goy, Sheno Sal Sat Vina Lafkim, you say it standing. And people think they're supposed to say it standing. Usually, since it's the beginning of davening, you're standing, you just put on, you're standing, okay, so you say it standing. But you don't have to say it standing, because it's not Birchas HaMitzvos. The Chazan says it's standing, that's Kavod HaTzibur. Out of respect for the Tzibur, he's representing the Tzibur. But sometimes certain things it's easy to have maybe Kavona when you stand, certain brachas, because, we're accustomed to say those brachas in a standing position. So if you would sit, it's not the same. People would not feel the same, because it's what you're used to.
But you can't.
You can't sit. You can't sit.
So like on a plane or...
On a plane, you could even say Shemon Esrei in the sitting position, right?
Put in the tefillin in the sitting position.
Correct. And we're going to have later, there's a difference in Ashkenaz and some with tefillin, right? The tefillin shel yad, they sit when they put tefillin shel yad. So they definitely say the bracha sitting, right? And the tefillin shel rosh, that's when they stand. The Sfardim. Ashkenazim, we stand for shel yad and the shel rosh. It's based on the Zohar, that you're supposed to sit when you put the tefillin shel yad on. That's why they do it. There were Jews up in Tveria, where, because they were Kabbalists, they also, Ashkenazim, they put on the tefillin shel yad, the yeshiva sitting, and the tefillin shel rosh, they would stand like the Sfardim. But the vast majority of Ashkenazim, shel rosh and shel yad, also people, even when when we take it off the way we put it on, right? In the order, just in the opposite way. Take off the shel rosh. first undo the straps around our fingers, then take off the shalosh shel yad. So the same thing, but when we put it on standing. So let's say a person's sitting and he wants to take his tefillin off while he's sitting. Even that we don't do. As we put them on when we stood, when you take them off, you stand. No, it's just the way you do it. It would be fine to take it off when you're sitting. It's not a problem. What? Because at the end they usually drink a cup of coffee and they're saying some tefillah. That's the reason. Okay, let's see what's the focus. See, we got custom and folklore. We got everything here. Okay. Not putting on film. Putting on film, they don't put on film like Sfardim. Hasidim don't. Shel Yad. He couldn't have been a big Hasidic Rebbe. When he puts his film, you don't see him. He's in the room on the side. Okay. If you study Sfasemis, if you see, almost everything the Sfasemis says is a Zohar. Every piece he calls a Zohar. And their whole connection to Avodas Hashem is through the Zohar, through Kabbalah. The big Rebbes. Sfasemis was leading. He was different. He was the Rebbe. His commentary on Shas. It's used. Everybody learns it in yeshiva. You know, it's something very, very advanced and very profound. I mean, he was one of the leading gedolim in his time. So this is Avodas Hashem. That's Zohar, and his whole approach is based on the Zohar. Yeah. And if you really understand what Sfas says, then you understand how little the ones who quote Sfas what they don't understand. Vayeishev, his grandfather, he was known as the Leshem. Wrote a sefer. When he wrote his sefer, he had a correspondence with the Ben Ish Chai. Ben Ish Chai was a great Kabbalist. He was in Iraq, in Baghdad. Ben Ish Chai was known, Shabbos he would lecture for hours. There was a shul in Baghdad that held thousands of people. His voice would project over 10,000 people. They were able to hear every word he said. Nobody knows how. It had nothing to do with the acoustics. Nothing with the acoustics. And he was known. I mean, he was Kubel. He did many things which were almost supernatural because of his ability and his connection. So one day in the middle of the week, the Ben Ish Chai put on Big Day Shabbos clothes. His family says, "What's happening?" He says, "I just received a manuscript from the Leshem." They never heard the Leshem. This was Rabbi Yoshev's grandfather, who actually lived when they came to Eretz Yisrael. He was 11 years old, and he pretty well was very involved in it. He learned with him from the age of 11 onward. He learned with his grandfather, and he helped. His Leshem had poor eyesight towards the end. He helped him write many of the things in there, and there were certain things he even wrote himself. And he quotes Rabbi Yoshev when he was a young teenager. Rabbi Yoshev was well versed in Zohar, very Kabbalah, but he never, ever, ever displayed any knowledge in this area, ever. You know, he had his reasons, whatever. You know, my Rosh Yeshiva is a friend of Rocha. If he would quote the Sfas Emes, he would say, they would appreciate this. You have to have a little Litvische bent to you. He would say, an Odom Godel said this. He would not quote the source. Why? So I once asked him why. He says, there's a way of thinking and processing information. He didn't want the Talmudim should study that. If they're impressed with what he says, they can start studying his works. The moment you start studying, your way of thinking becomes a different way of thinking. It's not intellectual. It's not on an intellectual level. It's on a different level. Once you're already fully developed intellectually on an analytical level, how to learn, it's okay. That one doesn't detract from the other. But if you're in your formative developmental years of developing the ability to do a proper analysis and learning, and then you start studying that, you're not going to develop properly. And that's why he would never, even if he would quote them, would never quote them by name. Because he didn't want them to go seek out the source and see it in its original for that reason. So it's not he was anti-Hasidish. It had nothing to do with that. Okay. Depends who you are.
6:52.